Beat the market. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 193 of the Shower Podcast, the podcast where I'm in my shower and you do you. I'm your host, Chip, and what if I told you that I found an asset that will beat any kind of investment that you might try to do? It performs better than stocks, better than wine, gold, even Legos. To find out, wait 30 seconds and I will tell you in a moment. Before we start, as usual, if you end up liking this episode, leaving a like and subscribing really mean a lot. They're just one click, but they really make the difference. Thank you very much. So, without further ado, let me present to you what is this magical asset. Is yourself. Why is that? Well, because in our day-to-day life, the moment that we go into the path of self-improvement, we're actually starting to invest. I don't know how familiar you are with the world of investing and all its terms. If you are, well, this episode will be very easy. If you're not, it's still gonna be easy because, the things that I'm gonna explain are pretty straightforward. But overall, let me guide you in what it means for me investing in yourself, or overall, how the two processes are oddly similar. So let's look at the financial world. So if you want to try to beat the market, you have to be smart about the moment in which you buy something and the moment in which you sell. Talking, let's say, the easiest way in the stock market, you buy at 5, you sell at 10, you made a profit. Fantastic. How does that apply to our everyday lives? Where the way that I see it is that you pay with effort and you gain in moments in which you don't really appreciate as easily as with, real world money. Why is that? Because when you start an activity, and again here, if you are a listener of the Shower Podcast, the example might be reoccurring, but I feel like it has so many good similarities to real life. So forgive me for overusing the subject, but I feel like it works perfectly and it explains it very well. But it's the gym, and it's also the inspiration for today's episode. Because I managed, let's say last week at least, to get into a very good routine that I hope I'll be able to bring forward. But I'd say it's aligned more with how I used to train. And overall, there are, let's say, 3 moments in which the investment takes place. So first, there's the research. So finding the optimal time, finding the optimal way to fit the scheduled exercise that I had in mind. So it's like looking for what to buy and when to get it. There is the actual moment, the transaction, in real life, you just exchange money for the stock and you just get it. Instead here, you pay with effort. So you will just feel fatigued and, you go out there and you do your thing. And then there is the payout. Thing is that the payout in the real world is just, waiting a bit and then you just take it home. And in the meanwhile in which you wait, there is, let's say, the price that you paid, So if, let's say, you had 10 as your total, let's say, net worth, and you paid 5, you are left with 5 until you get to sell it at 10 and go back to 15, making a profit. And this is actually the part that made me understand how similar things are, even though the end result is different. Because the way that I feel it is that the moment in which I do my training, the moment in which I end up being fatigued, immediately after I realize it's like, man, I am depleted. I'm very tired. There was definitely an effect to what I did. And it's the same as looking in your bank account and seeing that you spent money. But after a few hours or even the day after, if you don't have DOMs like I used to, but in general, let's say that if you have done your training in the immediate, in a few hours after, it will feel like you haven't done anything. If you take another generic day in which you haven't been to the gym or haven't exercised, you'll feel more or less the same. And you could say that is the same as investing. If you get used to it and the moment that you know that you would have spent that money and you know that you are on a loss on paper, you still feel okay because you know that, going down the line is going to be worth it and it's going to be fine. And indeed, the moment of the payout, it's here where the difference is a bit. But if you, let's say, will listen to my explanation, maybe it will also make sense to you. Because on one end, as we said, you just see the value goes up, you sell it again for a bigger value, and then you are happy because you made a profit. How does it happen in real life? What does it mean for you to gain something out of the effort that you put into any kind of exercise or activity that you put effort into? Well, it's pretty easy. Down the path, now in this case, if let's say you train for months on, there will be one day when you look in the mirror and you're like, this looks different. Or on the other hand, if you meet a friend, that hasn't seen you for months, he looks at you and is like, hey, did you train? Like, you look way better. And overall, these small moments in which either by yourself, when put in a difficult situation, you realize that things have changed and you're able to do things that before you just weren't able to, or moments in which you are challenged by others or others notice things about you and you actually get to experience and realize that all the effort that you put in is actually worth it. So at the end of the day, the only way to beat the market, even though, let's say, in the stock market and overall in the financial industry, is not really possible, or at least it's highly unlikable that you will. It's a race and it's a risky one. On the other hand, on your life, you can actually do that. And the only way is to invest in yourself and invest wisely, because any kind of effort that you put into yourself will always be rewarded in one way or another. As long as you do it constantly and you let the compound interest work. So the effort of today will be worth even more if summed with the effort of tomorrow, bringing it up, it will make the gains actually valuable. Well, the same way you do that in the financial industry, the same way you will feel about it when looking at yourself in the mirror or putting yourself up to a task that before was impossible and now you just cruise through it thanks to your exercise. Having said that, that was all for today. Thank you very much for listening. Bit of a more complex episode maybe, but I really like this parallelism and I think it's a good way of reminding yourself that if investing, let's say in real life, it's already good. Doing it for yourself, it's 10 times better. Like it's always something worth it. And yet we find it so difficult to do it because the value that we have to pay, that effort, it's very precious to us and it's not so easy to give it away. But it's better to do it in that than keep it for yourself because if you don't actually struggle, the value will go down and you with it. So I'm sure that you don't want that. If you like this episode, remember that liking and subscribing really help a lot and make me very happy. And overall, let me know in the comments if you like this investing strategy. Until the next one, as usual, stay consistent, stay resilient. This was the Shower Podcast and see you tomorrow.